For centuries, we've been trying to crack the code of lasting prosperity. We've seen empires rise and fall, technologies spark and then just fizzle out. But then, about 200 years ago, something fundamental changed. A switch was flipped, and it ignited the modern world as we know it. And understanding that switch, well, that's at the very heart of a very prestigious award.
So what is that engine? What unlocked the kind of sustained, compounding growth that really defines our era? It's a question that gets to the very core of economics, and it's the focus of this year's most important prize in the field.
And here it is. The 2025 Nobel Prize in Economics was awarded to 3 economists for their absolutely groundbreaking work on one single powerful idea: innovation-driven growth.
So, half the prize went to the economic historian Joel Mokyr. The other half was shared between Philippe Aghion and Peter Howitt. And together, their research gives us this incredible, compelling story for the massive economic expansion we've seen over the last 2 centuries. And let me be clear, this isn't just some dusty academic history lesson. Their theories give us a powerful lens, a way to understand the most urgent economic challenges we're facing right now, from the rise of AI to the incredible power of corporate giants.
Now, to really appreciate their breakthrough, we first have to go back in time and wrap our heads around a pretty big historical puzzle. You see, we tend to think of the pre-industrial world as, technologically stagnant. But that's not really the whole picture.
In reality, innovation was happening all the time. I mean, think about it. The printing press, incredible new shipbuilding techniques, amazingly intricate clockwork. These were all huge advancements. People were constantly finding new, better ways to do things.
Which leads to the critical question, right? If innovation was always happening, why didn't it translate into that kind of compounding growth we saw after the Industrial Revolution? Why did so many of these brilliant inventions just lead to a dead end?
Well, Joel Mokyr came up with a profound answer. He argued that pre-industrial innovators knew what worked, but they had almost no idea why it worked. You had blacksmiths who could make incredible steel, but without understanding the science of metallurgy, they couldn't reliably improve it. All their progress was just trial and error, not based on fundamental principles, so it would always inevitably hit a wall. So what was the secret sauce? What finally changed? Well, according to our Nobel laureates, it was 2 key ingredients that came together to finally turn on the engine of modern growth. Let's break them down.
Okay, the first ingredient was uniting 2 worlds that had been separate for a very, very long time. The world of theoretical knowledge, the thinkers, and the world of practical scale, the builders. The Enlightenment in Europe was this incredible moment that brought these 2 groups together, allowing scientific principles to finally supercharge practical invention. For the first time, people knew both what worked and why it worked.
The second ingredient is a concept developed by Aghion and Howitt, and it's called creative destruction. It's this idea of a constant, turbulent process where new technologies don't just add to the old ones. They actually replace them, often violently.
This shows you that economic growth isn't some smooth, gentle upward curve. No, under the surface, it's a relentless churn. Water wheels were wiped out by steam engines. Steam engines were made obsolete by the internal combustion engine. And now, that's being challenged by electrification. Every single step forward required destroying a piece of the past.
Now, Aghion and Howitt also showed that this whole process needs just the right kind of economic environment. If you have too little competition, like a monopoly, well, there's no real reason to innovate. But if you have a cutthroat market where your ideas get stolen instantly, that also kills innovation. The sweet spot, as this inverted U-curve shows, is a balanced market, one with some protections for new ideas, but enough competition to keep everyone on their toes. That balance is what creates the perfect conditions for progress.
And that brings us right back to today, because these theories are incredibly relevant, maybe more relevant than ever, to understanding the biggest technological shift of our lifetimes: artificial intelligence.
When you look at AI through this framework, you see 2 very different possibilities. On the one hand, the optimistic view is that AI could be the ultimate tool for uniting theory and practice. It could make deep knowledge accessible to everyone and just turbocharge innovation. But here's the core challenge. For the first time, the industry being creatively destroyed might be human labor itself on a massive scale.
So, how do we possibly manage a disruption this big? Well, the work of our laureates points to a pretty clear policy solution: strong social safety nets for people whose jobs are displaced by new technology.
And this isn't just about compassion, it's actually about smart economics. See, When people aren't terrified of losing everything, they're more willing to take risks and to support technological change. Systems like flexicurity in places like Denmark show that if you protect the workers rather than protecting specific jobs, you actually lubricate the engine of creative destruction. You make the whole economy more dynamic.
You know, the theory of creative destruction teaches us to constantly question our established structures. So, in that spirit, it's probably worth turning that same critical lens back on the Nobel Prize itself, which, frankly, is facing its own challenges in a rapidly changing world.
The prize was created for an era of lone geniuses, but modern science is deeply collaborative. We're talking hundreds of researchers on a single project. Yet the prize is still limited to just 3 people. It also can't be awarded after someone has passed away, which ignores the foundational giants on whose shoulders today's winners stand. And as science blows up into new fields like computer science, the original categories start to feel pretty outdated. And that brings us to our final thought. The work of this year's laureates teaches us that innovation is a powerful, disruptive, and often a messy force. It creates incredible wealth, but it does so through destruction. So the central question for our time, the one we all have to answer, is this. As that engine of creative destruction spins faster than ever before, what policies, what institutions do we need to build to make sure its power benefits everyone without leaving anyone behind?